This is Pastor David here. Welcome to another session of Virtual Spiritual Saturday Book Club on the promise, the biography, the pictorial biography of Tsem Rinpoche. So let me do the usual, which is to see who's on. And I will be waiting. And so far I only see Sukfan. Welcome, good morning. How are you? How is everything going for you? Good morning, Yin Ping. I can see you. So yesterday, last week. I think I read to the part in Ganden where Rinpoche, I think I should read this Tough Times in Ganden. Okay, let me see. Losing Guru, making choices. Okay, first recognition. No, I think, Tough Times in Ganden, and then Rinpoche's recognition. I think we were talking about that, and then, and also Rinpoche's. Okay, I went way ahead through that, and I haven't reached the part of. Oh, I see a lot of people now. Alice. Good morning. Yin Ping, Jillian, Jacinta, Yiling. Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining us. You are pretty much a regular for most of our sessions. And whoever else, there are some people on watching. Yiman, good morning. So we will continue on with the promise as usual. If you have any questions from the previous session, I have one question in mind. Someone asked me, I think it was Jacinta, asked me about Rinpoche's parinirvana. I'll leave it towards maybe next week. I think by next week I'm almost covered most of the book. Or next week or the following week. All right. So and then after that I have to figure out what other book I'm going to read to you guys and to discuss. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. All right. Good morning, Jacinta. Good to see you. I hope you are doing fine. So everybody had their breakfast or having their breakfast right now, I'm sure. Right? Today is Saturday, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are home. You better be home, it'll be good for you. So you're probably having a breakfast right now, or you had breakfast and you're just watching me. Welcome. So I wanted to read, I'll backtrack again. As usual, I'm always like that when I'm kind of a bit disorganized, sorry. Yeah. I read ahead, but I wanted to read the part on Tough Times in Ganden. Did I read this before? No, I don't think so. Let me see if I have. No, I think I'll read this for you. This is on page 193 if you have the book, if you want to follow. If not, it's okay. You just listen to me. All right? The early years were not an easy time at the monastery for the young and as yet undiscovered Rinpoche. Some of the monks at the monasteries lived on sponsorship, but Rinpoche did not have any sponsors at the time. His living conditions were rudimentary and poor, and he was starving. His daily diet consisted only of tampa, roasted barley flour, which he would mix with tea and roll into little flour balls to be eaten. However, despite the scant portions he had, his monk friends knew him to feed half of whatever he had to the birds outside his room, leaving even less for his own consumption. That's why if you see early pictures of Rinpoche when he was younger in the monastery, especially in the monastery, he was very skinny. Very skinny. It's like, just skin and bones. He wrote to several people in America, such as his parents and Dharma friends in Los Angeles, to ask for their support in sponsorship. They all said no. His parents even wrote back to tell him that as he had made his bed, he should lie in it, and that he should not embarrass them further. Friends claimed that there were no reliable methods for sending money to India, so they did not send any. In quiet, lonely moments, he would sit alone in a small room and cry from the immense difficulty of being there. Conditions were so poor and grim in the monastery, and it was so difficult to find funds that Rinpoche even ran away from the monastery twice to the nearby town of Hubli because he felt so depressed. He hid in a hotel and planned to travel to New Delhi, from where he planned to escape somewhere else, perhaps back to America. Cancer Jumper Yeshe sent several monks to track him down, but Rinpoche dodged them as best as he could, moving from hotel to evade them. Eventually, Cancer Rinpoche sent word that if Rinpoche did not come back, Cancer Rinpoche himself would go to Hubli to prostrate to him and request his return. Rinpoche was extremely embarrassed that his own guru, who was already in his 70s, had to resort to asking him to come back in this way. Out of deep respect for his teacher and Cancer Rinpoche's instructions to him, he dared not let this happen, so he quickly returned to Ganden. Soon after, there was a breakthrough. His old friend Carmen Kichikov from New Jersey, now known as Anila Tupten Chonyit, after becoming a nun, started sending him $50 US a month on advice of Cancer Rinpoche Losang Tachin. This was almost equivalent to 1,400 Indian rupees, which was a lot of money to him at the time. With the new funds, he could buy food, fix the leaky ceiling, and acquire amenities to improve his meager living conditions: a fan, mosquito netting, and stove to cook simple meals in a little hallway outside his room. So, before I continue, right, if you read this immediately, you will think, what I thought is this: Rinpoche is extremely honest. Okay, if you ran away from the Dharma, if you did something that was like give up, or you feel depressed, you won't go around telling people. Okay, most of us would not. Most of us, when you've done something like this, because Rinpoche is a Rinpoche, he's a teacher, but he has no heirs, and he doesn't feel that he needs to hide anything. So he revealed this. And I thought Rinpoche was extremely honest, and I thought Rinpoche was going through a really difficult time because he literally had no money to even eat. You understand, the Tibetan monastic tradition, the monks, is different from the Thai tradition where you go out and you beg for food. In Tibet, they don't have that tradition. Okay, in Tibet, they depend on patrons. They depend on sponsors, basically. So what happens is, usually when a person, a young, let's not talk about Rinpoches, when it's just a normal family, usually if they have a few sons, they will send one of the sons to be a monk. This is in old Tibet, not right now in the Tibetan community. But most families will send at least one of their sons to be a monk. So the family themselves would sponsor the monk. Okay, they would sponsor him, as in his food, his robes, his books, and whatever he needs, like ritual items and altars and all that, for his education, for his livelihood. So that's the tradition. But there are also a lot of families that are very poor. So they live in a very difficult, very Spartan. You know what Spartan means? Extremely, almost like nothing. Conditions where they have to. You see, for Rinpoche, it's different because nobody sponsored. And Rinpoche comes from a totally different background. Language was an issue. He doesn't speak Tibetan very well. He's beginning, at this point in the monastery, Rinpoche is beginning to learn simple Tibetan. And then he is placed in a situation where everyone is Tibetan and speaks Tibetan. And he has to go for classes. And he's placed in the kids' class. I remember when she told us. And so he has to struggle with the language, struggle with the culture, struggle with daily living, the hygiene, everything. So everything, it was a struggle. For most of us, when we go through difficulties and struggles, there's only one aspect. For example, maybe it's our family, maybe it's a relationship. For some of us, maybe we go through tough times like right now, maybe our careers, our jobs, but that's just one, this livelihood. For Rinpoche, it's like almost every aspect was a struggle. So when you put yourself in Rinpoche's shoes, would you be able to take it? When so many issues, when you have no family support, no friends, I mean, you have your guru and the monks, but You don't speak the language, so it's very hard to communicate. And from a totally different culture, there's an expectation out of him that he couldn't fully understand yet. At that point in time, he was very young. Rinpoche was very young. So combined with that, he was also very young. So that kind of mounting pressure built up on this young monk, right? That's why it resulted in Rinpoche running away. You have to understand it and not think of, oh, it's just normal that Rinpoche ran, you know. It's that kind of pressure that he ran. And what's interesting is he came back. What made him come back was his teacher. His teacher said, I will come and prostrate to you if you don't come back. And Rinpoche had the devotion enough he didn't continue running. He could continue running. You know, if he continued running, then we would not meet here and I will not be live streaming, there will be no Kechara. Rinpoche will not come to Malaysia. You know, Rinpoche will probably be in America somewhere at that time, you know, and become a star or whatever. So what happened is Rinpoche returned to the monastery and faced the struggles because he had devotion to his teacher. It is because he's devoted to Cancer Rinpoche. He had enough devotion that when the Rinpoche prostrated to him, he decided, okay, I cannot let my guru do this. I realized something is wrong, and he went back. So he went, continued facing, and something came through. So for a lot of us, when we go through difficulties, right, when we go through obstacles, when we ask Dodishin for help, when we ask people for help, sometimes we don't get it, sometimes we get it, and sometimes when we get it, it comes later. So the struggle itself is what I would call a period where it builds our character. So how we deal with such situation of not giving up is what builds us. Okay, what makes us better. So spiritually, it is purification. Some people say that it's purification, so that something better comes along. All right. So sometimes Dodishin does this when we need help. Rinpoche doesn't give the help. Dodishin doesn't give the help immediately when we ask for it. So when we do black tea, circum, when we need an assistance, perhaps it's financial, perhaps it's resources, perhaps it's something, people, an assistance from someone. It may not come immediately. Don't give up, because sometimes we need to go through the struggle to purify the karma, to experience the initial the anxiety. There's no way that you don't feel you worry and all that. We're not that attained. We're not that no feeling lah. So what happens is when we have faith in Dodishukden, in the protector, you just have to do more, and also don't expect that we just do black tea and puja and everything will come to us. Of course, it cannot be the other way around, right? You just sit there in your room and hope a job comes to you. Let's say you're looking for a job and you do black tea every day, sit at home every day, do black tea, and that's it. Of course, you have to send in your resumes. You have to look for it. You have to ask you have to tell your friends, oh, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? So when you do black tea and you create the conditions, meaning you go out and ask, go for interviews, send out resumes, something will happen. So you need to combine both. So don't expect miracles to fall out, something to fall out of the tree when you're just at home doing nothing. Don't tell anyone. Don't go for any interviews. Don't send any resumes. So this is just an example. All right. So anyway, let's get back to the story. Good morning, Wei Ting and Jerry. Good morning. Nice to see you. Okay, let's continue. On another occasion, when Rinpoche was visiting Sera Monastery, okay, there is 3 monasteries, Ganden, which is where Rinpoche is from, Drepong, which is another nearby monastery, and then a little further away is Sera. All right. He consulted Dorje Shukden through the renowned Panglong oracle of Sera Mei for ways to alleviate his financial troubles. On the advice of Dorje Shukden, Rinpoche constructed a wealth box according to the instructions of Khenso Jampa Yeshe Rinpoche and placed within it a wealth vase that had been handmade by His Holiness Kepche Song Rinpoche. How blessed. So what happened was the puja that Dorje recommended for Tsem Rinpoche, for our Rinpoche, our teacher, was to have a wealth box What's a wealth box? A yangkam. In Kechara, we have a yangkam too, right? Some of you probably have attended the puja where it's a huge cabinet and there's wealth vases placed in, and a lot of offerings placed in and sealed by ritual. So what happens is in Kechara, we have wealth vases for you guys to invite on donation to the organization, right? And a stipulated donation, I would say, a price lah. Okay, it goes to the organization. So what happens is the wealth vase, by tradition, actually you don't just put it there and that's it. What usually is you have a cabinet. It can be, Rinpoche said this, the yangkam, the wealth cabinet, yangkam means wealth cabinet, wealth box lah rather, can be the size of a box, a small box, a cabinet, or a whole room. And the reason why you have it encased in that is so that you can leave offerings inside. So when you, by ritual, by puja, they put in a lot of different type of offerings inside the box to energize as an offering to the particular wealth deity. In the case of the wealth vases in Kechara is mostly Genze, which is Ratna Shukden, or the wealth form, the increased form of Dodi Shukden. And so there are specific offerings. Some are offerings of like sensory offerings, water and all that. Some are offerings like animals, offerings of different types of dry fruit. Of course, it's practical when you put inside and encase for a whole year. So definitely the offerings should be able to withstand that kind of duration. So it'll be dry, even if it's food, it's dry fruits, perhaps it's beans and all that. And then different figurines, animals, especially women, because it said in Genze, specific Genze, the entourage of Genze is specifically the 9 mothers. So there are women, there are dakinis, all right? So the idea of the wealth box, which is started by Lord Atisha in India, in Tibet, not in India. He's an Indian master who came to Tibet to teach the Dharma, all right? When he came to Tibet, he noticed one thing. Unlike in India where, their forests, the resources was rich, it was easy to get resources. And then in Tibet, conditions are a little bit more harsh. There's not much forest. Most of Tibet is mountainous. So when it's mountainous, you can't grow much. So that's why even vegetables and all that is very scarce. Scarce means very little. All right. So he developed this wealth box tradition to attract energy, to bring to magnetize, to invite energy for wealth, for fulfillment of wishes, for resources, monks interested in the Dharma, to come learn, to do their practice, and then also they invite, so it attracts energy lah. So basically, that's what a wealth box / wealth vase is for. All right. So for Rinpoche's wealth puja, it was a wealth box to construct one. All right. So I just wanted you guys to know. I think most of you might know, but perhaps some of you might be wondering what it is. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's continue on the story. If you have any questions? Oh, I see some comments here. Hi, Martin. Iman says this. Hi, Pastor David and everyone. Since Rinpoche is a highly attained Lama from his previous lives, I thought Rinpoche would have many realizations and able to handle these challenges better than normal people. Hence, with due respect, why does Rinpoche still struggle in his early life and ran away from the monastery? Iman, very good. What was my answer to your question would be this, all right? Although Rinpoche is an attained being, who he needs to reach out are not, all right? So if he needs to reach out to people who are not, sometimes he has to manifest qualities that is similar to the people he's reaching out. So lamas often manifest as ordinary people in order to be able to reach out to them. So if a lama is totally attained, never experienced any obstacles, because this is an inner obstacle that Rinpoche is experiencing. It comes from internally. It comes from the mind, all right, first. It's our external obstacle, but also internal. And giving up is internal, definitely. So at a point, Rinpoche gave up because a lot of us, he would have to meet a lot of students who would be like that, who give up easily. All right, so the obstacles come to Rinpoche. Actually, it's not Rinpoche's obstacles, it's our obstacles. Actually, if you talk of karmic from a karmic point of view, all right, it's our obstacles. Why does he come to Rinpoche at that point? Because he's young. It's to prepare him to meet his students later. Because a lot of his students, a lot of people that will come to Rinpoche will have different mindsets. Many of them will not stay long in the Dharma. So some of the obstacles will come in order to train Rinpoche to have the kind of mental strength to be able to assist them. There's many levels of why this happens. And attain doesn't mean totally perfect. Attain just means that his meaning that his Rinpoche's devotion to his Lama is very strong, stronger than most people. The ability to overcome obstacles is stronger than everyone. That's why I had to give you the context of how Rinpoche was going through at that time. Most of us, if you've gone through that, we probably would not go past it. We'll probably give up. Because most of the obstacles we ourselves experience is only 1, 2, the most 2 to 3, the most. We don't have obstacles from every angle, no family, no friends. You're totally in a total environment. How many of us will be able to transplant ourselves out from our current environment and go to somewhere else in order to practice the Dharma? Very few. Very, very few. And that's just transplant oneself. He's not from India, He's not from the Tibetan environment. He's from America. He's from a situation that's similar to us, actually. So in order for, let's say if Rinpoche says, okay, Martin or Iman or Alice, you have to go to Nepal, set up a center on your own, no help. That and the obstacles where we go through when you go there will be what Rinpoche is going through, because you have to understand the obstacles that Rinpoche is going through is a lot. Don't think it's just so simple, because it's not described totally, because there's a lot of obstacles that Rinpoche is going through at that time. All right, so it's not as simple as it seemed. All right, anyway, let's carry on. And Rinpoche also, how do I explain this? People always have this idea that, because I guess you're not close to Rinpoche, and also people have this understanding that when you are a high Lama, attained means you are perfect in every sense of the word. Attainment, an emanation of an enlightened being, and enlightenment does not mean perfection. It doesn't mean that every word is perfect, everything you think is perfect. It's not. It's the motivation is perfect. The motivation is consistent and perfect. Not perfect as in he's a robot. He's not an angelic figure. He's a human being. So when you are a human being, you come with your faults are as a human being. You get old, you forget, you have your emotions. Also, enlightenment doesn't mean you are a statue. You're a Lama Tsongkhapa statue that's always smiling no matter what you do. No, you still have emotions. And especially when you attain and you are supposed to reach out to certain people, to a certain group of people, all the karmas actually goes to him, especially because he's attained, so he absorbs more than normal. So he absorbs a lot of obstacles on our behalf already. And that's also part of the reason why Rinpoche goes through a lot of turmoil around him, because he has to absorb all the obstacles of what his work is supposed to reach out to different groups of people. Some of the people Rinpoche reached out in his life was immediate circle that he met. In fact, there's much more bigger, wider range of people that Rinpoche reached out without meeting personally. Many in Kechara actually right now, especially the newer members, have not met Rinpoche. They only met Rinpoche through Rinpoche's blog, through Rinpoche's YouTube teachings, through the pujas in Kechara, the activities in Kechara, and all the various departments. All right? Okay, where am I now? Okay, here we go. Although the financial hardship that he endured occasionally caused the young Rinpoche to feel disappointment, nothing could have prepared him for the next major setback that would affect his life up to this day. During a trip to Dharamsala, while on a personal quest to have a tanka painted of Dorje Shugden, Rinpoche discovered that the Dharma protector whose practice he had received from His Holiness Kepche Song Rinpoche was clouded in controversy, and many artists refused to paint Dorje Shugden's likeness. This was the first time that Rinpoche had heard about the restrictions on this protector's practice and the nasty rumors that were spreading in the Tibetan community. He was in shock, and his thoughts in turmoil. He could never give up on the practice of Dorje Shugden because it would mean breaking his promise and commitments to His Holiness Kepche Song Rinpoche, his root guru. Yet, not giving up the practice would mean that he would be going against another of his gurus, albeit one to whom he had not made any specific commitments with regards to this protector. Still in Dharamsala, Rinpoche locked himself in his tiny room in Ganden Shatse Shapten Kang, crying and engaging in prayers, making copious offerings of sikkim, golden drink to Dorje Shugden, and offering a continuous stream of sang, incense, from his window until the heat from the incense pot charred the windowsill. After 3 days of torturous thinking, contemplation, and meditation on what to do, Rinpoche finally emerged from his room, having decided to continue with his practice. That's when he met his friend, an older Tulku, who, after listening to Rinpoche's concerns, gently chided him, saying that he could quietly practice and still respect His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and that there would be no conflict in this. After that, Rinpoche calmed down, remembering that it was the norm for Gelugpa practitioners to hide their practices, especially those of tantric nature. Rinpoche has described that period of coming to terms with the issues surrounding Dorje Shugden's practice as one of the most depressing times of his life, as he was being forced to choose between two of his gurus. Decades later, with the escalation of the Dorje Shugden controversy, Rinpoche has emerged as one of the few lamas fearlessly speaking up for the rights of Dorje Shugden practitioners and continues to transmit the sacred practice of Dorje Shugden to his students. All right, so this part is about the Dorje Shugden controversy. If you have any questions, you ask me. If you don't, it's all right also. And you can actually read a lot of it on Rinpoche's blog. Rinpoche has a whole section on Dorje Shugden explaining his the reasons behind the ban, the controversy was on Dorje Shugden, the reasons for it, the bigger reasons for it, the immediate reasons for it, and also various aspects of it. Rinpoche has many articles, so I will not go into it. It is a huge subject matter. And basically, this part was a pivotal moment for Rinpoche. Pivotal because it was a point where this practice became of paramount importance. After this, Rinpoche continued on his practice, and over time it became a campaign for Rinpoche. Let's put it this way, Rinpoche has tremendous respect, tremendous devotion. I won't say it's even respect, devotion to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Yes, devotion to His Dalai Lama. That's why every article on Rinpoche's blog was read by Rinpoche, okay? When he was alive, of course. When read by Rinpoche, approved by Rinpoche, and toned down and toned according to the message he wishes to convey. And generally, Rinpoche's message is that respect His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He is who he is. He's attained, and he is doing it for a reason. So as Dorje Shugden practitioners, Rinpoche's message is that we should have a right to practice. We have every right to practice, and especially because we received it from our teachers. Okay, if I receive the practice from a teacher, we have every right to practice. Even if we don't, it does not matter, because it depends on our connection to our Lama and connection to the Dalai Lama. All right. So if you have any issues about it, just let me know. Or you can go on Rinpoche's blog. Plenty. Rinpoche has a lot of articles. All right. So I won't touch that much about this, but I would like to highlight that this is the turning point for Rinpoche, and which eventually became a life. His life's work, I would say. Doji became his life's work. All right. So let me see, and there's some comments and questions, I think. Okay, hi David, hi Kelvin. Nice to see you. Thank you for your compliment. And Alice have a commercial advertisement there. And then Sharon says this: since we have many lifetimes, would it be possible for a person to have different root gurus in different lifetimes? Of course, Sharon. Every lifetime we will meet the Dharma. We hope, okay? There is no guarantee you'll be around unless you have practiced very strongly in every lifetime that will ensure you that you will come back and meet the Dharma as a human being again. Okay, so because to be honest, many of us, even those who practice, who are Buddhists, may not come back as human beings, may not. So that should strike fear in our hearts in a right way, okay? It's not a negative fear, it is a positive fear, because it helps motivate us to practice. It helps motivate us to contemplate on ourselves. What causes are we creating in this life, to create the conditions to come back again? So what's the conditions that will ensure that we will come back as human beings and meet the Dharma again? We have to uphold our vows. If we have received vows, we have to uphold our commitments. If we promise someone, especially someone like our teacher, especially if it's our teacher, especially if it's our Dharma brothers, not just our teacher, if we promised our Dharma brothers and sisters something, it has karma, Not as much as the gravity, the seriousness of the karma is not as heavy as with our gurus, but it still has a lot of karma. So if we've promised one of our Dharma brothers and sisters we'll do some particular something, a project, whatever, and we don't, we abandon it, there is karma. And we give up, we forget. So, so if we uphold all this, and then we also do our practice, we also do our purification, then there's a chance we'll come back as human. Let's not, whether we meet the Dharma depends how much we transform, how much we realize the Dharma. All right, so there is a lot to it. And just because you don't kill, you don't steal, does not necessarily guarantee you will come back human and meet the Dharma again. Sometimes you might come back human, but you may not meet the Dharma in that particular life. Maybe you were born in a faraway place where even a statue of the Buddha is illegal. For example, in the Middle East. All right, I won't go into that so much, but you understand what I mean. Places where there's no Dharma. Okay, I have another question just pop up from Iman. Thanks, Pastor David, for answering my question just now. May I know what is the current status of Doshin's ban controversy? Any efforts, please, to lift the ban still ongoing? Thanks. Okay, Iman, currently the situation is getting much better. I don't think this session is appropriate to go so much into the controversy and the political aspect of it, but the situation is getting better, and it has not lifted yet, but the situation has gotten a lot better. And generally, so far, we in Kechara have received far less obstacles. I don't know if you have seen online, because we have received tremendous amount of negative comment, negative tweets and comments from people outside, and perhaps perhaps it's not seen, perhaps it's just verbal, that we have received a lot of obstacles just for being out in promoting Dodishukden. So what happens is whether or not It's still ongoing. Rinpoche has said that in fact, not just Rinpoche, Doji himself has said that this practice will be resolved over time through political change. So that is interesting. Through a huge political, there'll be changes, small changes that will lead to something big that will resolve in our favor. So that's what, if I remember correctly, not verbatim, but to that similar effect of what Doji said about what will happen. All right, we are moving towards that direction already. So the current phase of what we're doing is promoting Doji Shukden. So this is where promoting his qualities, promoting his benefits, promoting his practice that benefit people. Because everybody look at it from the negative aspect, but they don't see the positive aspect. There's no negative actually. It's just what is politically used to put down Doji Shukden in the past. All right. So actually, there's no negative. Okay, and I hope that answered your question in a very concise manner. I won't go so much into the huge controversy because there's a lot of videos. I have been in some of the interviews and exchanges, and so there's plenty already of material online about this. And this session will be more about Rinpoche. All right. You're welcome, Sharon and Li Mui. 世界平安 is it? 人人平安 Something about peace, world peace. Sorry, I don't really read Chinese very well. I don't read Chinese at all, actually. Not. So hello, Hannah. Hello, CK Sia. Thank you for joining. So I've read that section. So for Rinpoche, he's after that pivotal moment of him deciding to continue his practice, eventually became his life purpose of this incarnation. Rinpoche said later on, he said is defining of this incarnation, where his work was to promote Doji Shukden, to defend Doji Shukden initially, and then to promote it. That's why Rinpoche wrote a lot and spoke a lot of articles in the past, of the last, I would say 4 or 5 years. Rinpoche wrote a lot, experienced a lot, and I was part of it to help Rinpoche develop all these articles, to a small part of it actually. And it was interesting because of the amount of work Rinpoche put. It was tireless. And Rinpoche had also inexhaustible amount of ideas coming out of Rinpoche. Most of Rinpoche's ideas never fruition, but the main ones that he had was expressed and was able to be put onto the Rinpoche's blog. So Rinpoche, I don't know, it's just when it comes to something that he feels that is of importance, whether it's a person giving advice to a person, whether it's a struggle for Doji Shukden, Rinpoche would go all out. And his energy for it is incredible. It's just inexhaustible, I would say. And the manner in which Rinpoche approached it is a lot of insight. Sometimes Rinpoche, for example, like Rinpoche's teaching on My Side of the Story. If you have not watched My Side of the Story, you should watch it. It is a bit long. It's about 3 hours plus, if I remember correctly. It's incredible because when I sat through that, I remember, and it was very late at night, I remember, and Rinpoche just sat there and he just started talking, and it was spontaneous. And it was incredible because of the amount of information, the amount of recollection, and it was very smooth, and it was very cohesive. What Rinpoche, it was like as if someone composed a whole 3-hour talk, and Rinpoche just spoke it spontaneously. And it was from Rinpoche's heart. It was his own experience, of course. And it was also his ideas. It was also a pleading to His Holiness. And it's also a lot. It's everything together. So my point in telling you this is that's the kind of energy, that's the kind of effort, and that's the kind of passion Rinpoche has. And sometimes I joke with Rinpoche, it's an obsession. I used to describe it personally to Rinpoche, and Rinpoche just um, he laughs. I do think sometimes I didn't always say that lah, but I think for Rinpoche it's I think it's hit upon something that Rinpoche feels very, very strong for the core of his being, that he needs to do a particular thing in order to lift the ban, to send a particular message, to lift the ban, in order to reach a certain group of people, in order to dispel certain doubts about this practice, because ultimately it's to benefit. Okay, Dorje Shulten's practice has tremendous power and potential to bring people to the Dharma, to link people to the Dharma, to bring people to the Dharma and overcome a huge amount of obstacles for many, many people. So hence, that's why the last project that Rinpoche did before he entered Parinirvana was the Dorje Shulten statue next to Wisdom Hall in Kechara Forest Retreat. All right, that statue and that grotto. And the grotto grotto means a cave. So it's just the architecture style in which it was like a cave where people make a lot of candle offerings. So people can connect with Dorje Shulten, can make offerings to connect to Dorje Shulten, to overcome their obstacles, accumulate merits, and receive Dorje Shulten's blessings. So I see a lot more people. Chong Hin, Annie, King Hoi, welcome. Today we'll be continue on our reading on the promise. All right. So at this point in Rinpoche's life, it is the beginning of this. And of course, as Rinpoche said, if it wasn't for the controversy, the Dorje Shulten controversy, Dorje Shulten is not a main part of our practice. It's not. Dorje Shulten is a Dharma protected practice. Okay? Dharma protected practice is a secondary practice. It's something that you receive after you receive your initiation, your Yidam practice, after you study the Lamrim, after you study the three principal aspects of the path, and then you study mind training teachings, and then you get your initiation, perhaps, Manjushri, then you graduate to or Tara, or any of the lower tantric deities, and then you get your higher tantric deities like Yamataka, Heruka, Vajrayogini. And then only you gain your protector practice. Then protector practice becomes important. All right. So Dorje Shulten is actually secondary, Rinpoche said, but because of the controversy and because the reason behind the controversy, underlying reason is because Dorje Shulten has tremendous power and ability to help people overcome the obstacles. So today, people, in order for people to study the Lamrim, how many of you study the Lamrim? Book cover to cover. How many study the three principal aspects of the path? How many study mind training? How many of you study the teachings? Some of you are you just learn a little bit. You find Lamrim too difficult. So for you and many others who have partial, maybe some of you have a lot of faith, but there are also a lot of people who have very little faith in the Dharma. So what happens is they need something that will help them overcome the obstacles, then it will inspire them with faith. All right, so protective practice becomes important in this day and age because a lot of people have tremendous amount of obstacles. Well, why we have obstacles? All of us, even last time also, people have obstacles. But last time, their merit is higher because they have less distractions. When you have less distractions, distractions meaning what? What is distraction? When you have relationship, when you have material wealth, cars, houses, all these are attachments. Okay, it increases our attachment. When you have them, you have a lot, it means our attachment is also a lot. So when we have a lot of attachments, we have accumulated a lot of negative karma actually. All right, so when you have a lot of negative karma, so what happens is ability to gain attainments, ability to absorb the teachings become less. So what happens? You need special practices to inspire faith so that we study the Dharma, so that we gain transformation. All right. So in this day and age, our protected practice is very important. That's what Rinpoche said. It's very important for people, to inspire people to have faith and to help them with their obstacles, help them with their problems, so that they can be able to practice the Dharma, or even get onto the Dharma. Because some people, they need a practice that they see the results, then okay, maybe the Buddhas exist because Dodishin's, Dodishin practice works. All right, so anyway, my point in telling all this is to give you an understanding why Rinpoche works so hard, why this becomes a paramount practice in Kechara. All right, because in this day and age, it is required. And that's why Dodishin statue is huge. And that's why our main tradition in Kechara is Dodishukten. Because his ability to help people is huge in this day and age. All right? And it's from this huge amount, because our ability to reach so much people, because everybody has problems, everybody has obstacles, so everybody would easier for people to relate to Dodishin, to get their problems solved, and then connect with the Dharma that way. So when you have so much more people, then there will be a bigger group of real Dharma practitioners that will come along that will actually go on to practice the Dharma. So Rinpoche is canvassing for this group of people that will actually practicing the Dharma, to continue on, to do more, to learn more, to study more, to transform, perhaps, and also to gain, ultimately to ascend to Kechara paradise. All right, so let's see where else we're going to. I read on Rinpoche's contact with his parents, and his incarnation, recognition of his incarnation. There's a very nice picture of Rinpoche and the other High Lamas of his monastery. Where's Rinpoche? Here. Point the right. Yeah, Rinpoche is here. This is Lati Rinpoche. This is Khenso Rinpoche, Jampa Yeshe. And then the others, I think this is Song Rinpoche. And then the other tulkus of the monastery. Sorry, it's on page 223. I don't think you can see. I can see myself, but it's very blurred. So then we carry on. Deep and sacred connections to the three jewels, not necessary, I think. Rinpoche's time in the monastery is what Rinpoche said as the happiest time of his life. Yeah, I know it's contradictory. In the beginning, it was difficult, but once he overcame that, that was the earlier part of his time in the monastery. Then when he overcame that, and when he started learning Tibetan, and he started connecting with the monks, and then when he got used to it, what happened is it became easier, and he developed more avenues to express his spirituality, which is he did retreats, he did a lot of practice in the monastery. He also served his teachers, and that's why Rinpoche said it was the best time of his life. It was not in Malaysia. It was not teaching the Dharma. It's not getting adulation. Rinpoche has never really liked the limelight. Which initially I didn't, when I first heard it from Rinpoche, Rinpoche said he doesn't want students. He told me when I first knew Rinpoche, he's not actually looking for students. It's just that it was told to him that that's what he should do. He should, by his teachers, that he's a teacher, he's a Rinpoche. His role as a Rinpoche is to teach the Dharma, is to have students, is to guide his students. So it was a responsibility entrusted on him based on his recognition as a Rinpoche. And hence he took it up, and reluctantly initially, and reluctant all the way. But one thing about Rinpoche is because Rinpoche said this, Rinpoche is very different from us, so you cannot view Rinpoche from our perspective. Don't have this flaw or problem, We always view people from our perspective, how we would react in a similar situation, because we will react very differently. So Rinpoche, what motivates Rinpoche is very different from us. What motivates us will not be same with Rinpoche. Perhaps to a certain extent, now that we learn the Dharma, we understand, what it's like to devote to Rinpoche and experience Rinpoche's kindness, then we'll have something similar in the sense that we're devoted to Rinpoche in our own way. But Rinpoche totally doesn't think in the same way. For Rinpoche, his main priority is his teachers. His main priority is his practice. It's something that comes from within. It's not that, nobody taught him in America. Nobody taught him. Of course, he sees it in the monastery. He sees it among the monks, especially the older monks. But it didn't come from him seeing the monks, all right? Observing the monks, it did not come from there. It came from him. It came from within himself, meaning his previous life, all right? His imprints from his previous life. So in the monastery, he observed that and he practiced that along with the other monks. So that became his happiest time of his life, devoting to his teachers. And my point in telling you this is because later on, Rinpoche, if you listen to many of Rinpoche's teachings, he does express it from time to time. He does say that that's not what he wants to do. He doesn't want to be a teacher. It's not meant to say that he's forced to do it. Rinpoche has a choice because most of his teachers are not around anymore, right? So, but he's doing it anyway because he feels that is his way of honoring his teacher, that is his devotion to his teacher. And he does it in such a way that when you listen to Rinpoche talk, when Rinpoche goes out and the things that Rinpoche does, it almost sounds like a contradiction. You know what a contradiction means? He doesn't say, what he say doesn't actually, when you hear Rinpoche's teachings, it almost seems like Rinpoche loves teaching and he put his whole heart into the teaching to express the Dharma to us, to fill us with knowledge, to fill us with wisdom, blessings, and everything pours out, when Rinpoche talks. So it feels like, that's how I felt. And so I always thought, why so, it was a bit of a contradiction when I was thinking about it. And then I realized one thing about Rinpoche is that we cannot think from our perspective because we have been thinking, when we look at Rinpoche, we think from our perspective. We think, if you don't like something, you express it. Even if you have devotion, you do it half-heartedly. That's how we do things. When we don't like to do something, and we know it benefits, and when we do it half-heartedly, or we do it, mindlessly, that's our habit. That's for a normal person. That's like me and you, But for Rinpoche, he just goes all the way. When he has devotion to his teacher, and his teacher instructs him, and he hates it. He hates teaching, actually. But he would put his whole heart on it because he has devotion to his teacher. And that becomes a pivotal effect for Rinpoche. For us, it's a bit of devotion because of experiencing Rinpoche for some of us. For some of us, because we know of the benefits. For some of us, because, sometimes some of us, we don't have much other choice, what else to do for some of us. And some of us, we need Dorje Shugden's blessings, we need his assistance, we need all that. And that's why we put more than normal. So that's why I say we cannot put ourselves in Rinpoche's shoes like that and think, because Rinpoche say like that means he thinks like that and he does like that. No. Rinpoche, when he say he doesn't like to teach, but he will teach his life depend on it. I don't know if many of you have experienced Rinpoche personally, but when you sit in Rinpoche's teachings, it's just incredible. So when Rinpoche say he doesn't like teaching, he does mean it. And I think where that comes from, I think it comes from the fact that Rinpoche is, for many lifetimes, Rinpoche is a hermit. As a hermit? A hermit is a person who stays by himself in the mountains, and he doesn't meet people. And he doesn't like adulation, doesn't like attention. Rinpoche expresses so many times he doesn't like attention. He doesn't want so many gifts, so many offerings, but he appreciates every single one. All the offerings that you guys have been sending to Rinpoche when he was alive, Of course, right now, through his mind, you can see it. But when he was alive, he will go through it. He will read every single card. And when he doesn't understand it, if you write it in Chinese, for those who write to Rinpoche in Chinese, the cards, the letters, he will get someone to translate for him. He will go through every single card, every single letter, look at every gift. And then the gifts and all, Rinpoche initially don't touch it. It's usually left at the altar. All right, it's left at the altar, offered to the Buddhas first to collect merit for the person who sent the gifts. That's Rinpoche. And then Rinpoche is a person who doesn't like to go out, who was always in his room, who spent much of his time in his room, especially towards the later part of his life. The last 4 or 5 years, he hardly gives any big public teachings because he's winding down. He knows his time is coming to, soon. So, of course, he doesn't say, he hints, he tells us his time is short, but he doesn't tell us directly. From his actions, you already know that Rinpoche already knew. All right? So, for Rinpoche, it's teaching the Dharma is not what he wants. He doesn't want a lot of students, but it is necessary for his work. Because the role of his incarnation is to help tremendous amount of people. Tremendous. And for the people close in Malaysia, his main students, for people internationally, meaning the people who will come across the digestion's practice through Rinpoche's blog, who will probably never ever meet Rinpoche. So that's his role in this incarnation, to defend Daogestion, to spread Daogestion, to help Daogestion's lineage grow, to re-emerge after this controversy. So because this controversy, it will come to an end. It's predicted, and that's the purpose of it when it came about. That means it's temporarily there. It's not meant to be forever. All right? So, so Grace has this to say, Rinpoche's story really inspiring. No matter how difficult during young time for pursuing Dharma, Rinpoche overcome it. He shows us if there is a will, there is a way. Yes, correct. And more than that, it's because the reason for Rinpoche's overcoming it is his devotion to his teacher, is his spiritual practice. It comes from within. So for us, we should learn to inspire to able to have that within us. And maybe we will probably not reach 100% like Rinpoche in this life. So what we do is whatever we can do, we do to the best of our ability. We may not be able to reach out, start a whole organization and promote your guru, promote the practice. But whatever we do, our voluntary work, our sadhana, our retreats, our learning, we do the best we can. All right? And we do not mindlessly. We shouldn't do things mindlessly. We should do things with conscientiously, meaning we think about it, we actually contemplate and think about it. Very few, because a lot of people, I don't think it's something that is, people do it because, they don't like it when they do it mindlessly, but a lot of it, I think it's to do with our education system. Our education system teaches us to memorize things. And then regurgitate. You know what's good? Regurgitate? Regurgitate means you eat it and you spit it out. So a Dharma, you cannot do that. When you learn the Dharma, you're supposed to think about it. Why you need to think about it? Why you need to contemplate? Because you need to gain realization. So when you just swallow Dharma, you just swallow, listen, and then it doesn't go in. You don't think about it. What happens is nothing happens for you. Nothing. Realizations will come very slowly. But the thing is, for some of us, thinking about it, maybe realizations is still also very difficult. Maybe you don't understand. So what happens is, yes, it has to be a repeated process. So we do have to still listen to it. Sometimes it doesn't come to you immediately, never mind. Over time, it will. The more we do Dharma work, our sadhanas, retreats, offerings, eventually when you listen more and more, it will come to us. And it is important because every Dharma teaching, we listen, sometimes mindlessly, we cannot avoid it because that's who we are, that's how we were brought up, our education system. Sometimes we're busy, sometimes, our minds are distracted. So, but each time we listen, right, a seed will be planted. That's for sure. A seed is planted, that's already very good, but we need a lot of seeds. You don't just once a while put one seed, two seeds and expect, a whole forest of realizations. So you have to have a lot of seeds. You have to spend a lot of effort. All right, so it's important. This aspect is two sides. One, you have to put in effort to contemplate and think. And the other one is you have to go through a lot of process. Sometimes, even when we listen, we try to think. It doesn't. There's no breakthrough. There's no light bulb. Ding. Unfortunately, the light bulb doesn't ding. So what happens is sometimes we need to do a lot of practice. That's why sadhanas are very important. Making offerings on the altar. There's a reason why Rinpoche wants us all to have little altars, little shrines everywhere. From our work, our desks, to at home, our family altar. The bigger the statue, the better for us to collect merit. It is important for our practice. All right? The collection of merit is important. So, did I read this Gangchen Rinpoche? I think I did. Guru Devotion. Oh, I read this part as well. Yeah, I chose a few stories. Let me see. Send abroad to fundraise. Did I read this? I think I did. Okay, no, I did not. I will end today's session with this reading. And then, and then any questions or any comments. Today, everybody busy listening to me, having breakfast. Okay, this is on page 262. It's a section called Send Abroad to Fundraise. Okay, this is the turning point for Rinpoche in which he came to Malaysia. While Rinpoche was in Ganden, there was a constant influx of monks from Tibet joining the monastery in India. Due to severe lack of funds and sponsorship, the monastery was quickly running out of adequate accommodation for the monks. Many had to sleep outside on verandas, making them susceptible to snake bites, attacks from wild animals, and illnesses caused by dampness from the rain. This is India, so it rained a lot. They have monsoon season. In fact, I think they rain more than us during their monsoon season. In 1992, His Eminence Kepche Lati Rinpoche, His Eminence Kensur Jampa Yeshe Rinpoche, the abbot of the monastery at the time, and other high lamas of Phukam Kanzen convened a large meeting with all members of the Kamzen. Tsem Rinpoche also attended but had no idea what was about to happen. In front of the large assembly, Lati Rinpoche requested Tsem Rinpoche to go abroad to teach and raise funds to build monks' hostel for Phukam Kanzen. Rinpoche was shocked and refused at first, saying he was not qualified enough. He was only 27 years old. And then, why are you not qualified? Lati Rinpoche questioned him. Rinpoche replied, Tsem Rinpoche that is, because I just entered the monastery 4 years ago and I really don't know much. Lati Rinpoche pressed on. You know the language, you know the Dharma, and you have traveled abroad before. You are qualified. You should go. Rather daringly, Rinpoche debated back. In that case, you should go since you are more qualified than me. This exchange continued on for a few more minutes without any apparent resolution. Finally, Rinpoche said that if the Dharma protector Dorje Shukden said that he should go, he would. Thinking that Dorje Shukden would definitely say he was not qualified. At the time, Ganden Shatse Monastery had a tradition of propitiating their official Dharma protector, Lord Satrap, as well as the special Dharma protector of the Gelupa lineage, Dorje Shukden, via a special oracle monk who took trance of the protected deities. This oracle is authorized by the monastery and recognized by the Tibetan government to take authentic trance. Thinking that it would be weeks before the oracle took trance again, Rinpoche was quietly confident that he would be able to persuade Lati Rinpoche to change his mind. The next day, however, Rinpoche was informed that the oracle would be taking trance in the next few days. It was the perfect time for him to ask his question. Rinpoche went to consult the oracle, and to his surprise, Dorje Shukden told him that he should go. Rinpoche also received instructions on what blessed items he should bring and what he should teach. After the audience with Dorje Shukden, Rinpoche went back to see Lati Rinpoche and told him what Dorje had said. Lati Rinpoche just burst out laughing. Rinpoche then racked his brains to figure out which country he should go to teach and fundraise. He remembered then that when he was on pilgrimage at Bodh Gaya in 1990, he met a young Malaysian who offered him his first Vajrayogini statue right under the Bodhi tree where Buddha had gained enlightenment. At that same trip, Rinpoche had also met a Malaysian monk, Reverend Kun, whom he had regularly stayed in touch with after they each returned to their respective homes. So when Lati Rinpoche instruction to fundraise came, Rinpoche decided to write to Reverend Kun again, asking if he could still take up the offer to visit them. Reverend Kun immediately replied to say he would organize everything for Rinpoche's visit. He even sponsored the flight tickets for Rinpoche and his attendants. All Rinpoche had to do was to get on a plane and head to Malaysia. Okay, so you see the connection here. The chronology is Rinpoche first gave teachings to Malaysian students, not this time, earlier. Remember during when he first met Gangchen Rinpoche, this is before this happened, years ago, probably because there was a period of time when he first, when Rinpoche first went to India, became a monk. Then in Nepal, he met Gangchen Rinpoche before he went to India to the monastery. And then there was a period where, on and off, Rinpoche would meet Gangchen Rinpoche. And Gangchen Rinpoche, among his entourage, his students, was a group of Malaysian. And Rinpoche gave his first teaching. Gangchen Rinpoche made him give teachings. That was then. Then also in between the years, Rinpoche went on pilgrimage to Bodh Gaya. That's when Rinpoche met the Malaysian who gave him the Vajrayogini statue, and also Reverend Kun. But at that time, when Rinpoche received the Vajrayogini statue, right, he was thinking, and also Reverend Kun, he was thinking, oh, no way he's going to go to Malaysia. No way. He's not planning, because that's not what Rinpoche went to. What Rinpoche was thinking Rinpoche was not thinking of, oh, he's going to be a guru, give teachings, give initiation. It was that time, there was just one Malaysian, two Malaysian, so he, this monk, and this Malaysian practitioner, so he shared some Dharma. He was thinking that he's sharing Dharma with people. So Rinpoche he's very easygoing and he's very obliging when you ask Dharma questions, especially because it's in English, so it's easy for him to convey and explain. So he didn't mind. But in his mind, he was not thinking, oh, he will travel to give teachings, to fundraise, to do all that. That was not in Rinpoche's mind at all. What Rinpoche wanted to do, remember what Rinpoche wanted to do from when he was very young? He wanted to go and meditate in the mountains. That was one of his main passions and continues to this time. What Rinpoche was thinking that eventually he would, after serving his gurus and all that, he would eventually go into retreat. And in fact, until Rinpoche's passing, he's been talking about it. Because there is something that is a very strong imprint in Rinpoche's mind for, most likely for many lifetimes. Because Rinpoche has done it for many lifetimes. He spent a lot of his previous life in meditation, in retreats. So that imprint is extremely strong, and that's what Rinpoche wanted to do. Rinpoche never wanted to go and teach, although he did play as a teacher, when he was young, but he wanted to meditate more because he's been talking about it. And being in Malaysia, also encountering the obstacles with students, with all sorts of broken promises from various people, from disappointment, also that adds to him wanting to retreat more into going to retreat. Oh, David Chu asked this: what happened to Reverend Kun? Reverend Kun, K-H-O-O-N, K-H-O-O-N, Reverend Kun with an N at the end. David, his picture is on page 264 in the book. That's him. He had passed away. Unfortunately, he had passed away. And as far as I know, the Malaysian who offered the statue, Rinpoche has lost contact with him, so we don't know who it is. I think there's a name on Rinpoche's blog, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Tibetan name. And he's also of a different tradition. If I'm not mistaken, he's on Sakya tradition, but don't quote me there. All right? And so he did not really become Rinpoche's student. He was just Rinpoche was just sharing the Dharma with him, explaining certain things. But his connection started from there. All right, so Rinpoche's statue of Vajrayogini is with us till this day and is extremely blessed. A lot of people have offered a lot of jewels, and you can read about Rinpoche's Bodh Gaya statue, Bodh Gaya Vajrayogini statue on the blog. It has a lot of significance for us Kecharians. Martin wrote there, Kuncho Sumdrup. I think it's Samdrup, isn't it, Martin? Samdrup as in S-A-M. Kuncho Sumdrup in the name is the name of the Malaysian. All right, that's probably his refuge name, I think. All right, so that's all I would like to share to this day, and then next week we'll share a little bit more, and I think we'll be finishing already. Next week will be about the organization, the various departments, the earlier time of Rinpoche in Malaysia, in the pilgrimages he brought people in, and his early work in Malaysia. And then we'll be finishing already 1 to 2 more weeks. We'll be finishing on this book, and then I will have to go on to. And then we do a little summary of Rinpoche's life, Then we examine various aspects of Rinpoche's life, and then we'll finish, and then we'll probably go on to another book. And if this CMCO thing is on, then I'll be seeing you on I'll continue to see you on live streaming. All right, so in general, in essence, Rinpoche's work, the pivotal moments was what we've gone through today. The pivotal moment when Rinpoche first heard about the Dorje Shuten controversy, when he wanted to paint a tanka of Dorje Shuten, and he was told that he should not. And then he first heard about it, and then and then later on when he was requested to come to Malaysia. These are two major pivotal moments in Rinpoche's life. One is regarding his life's work, one is regarding the location of the rest of his life. So when he arrived in Malaysia, initially Rinpoche didn't stay for long, as in he didn't come to Malaysia and immediately stay here. He went back and forth. Eventually his teachers told him to remain. So this will be covered in the following weeks. All right, so more importantly, to understand Rinpoche for the obstacles, for why Rinpoche went through the obstacles, it is not really for Rinpoche's sake, it's for us. And it is for the fortitude that Rinpoche went through. And Rinpoche always say honestly, he's able to explain to us how we think and how our minds operate and how we deal with obstacles and how we overcome obstacles, because he went through it. All right, because he went through all of it, he's able to give good advice to all of us. All right, so if you have no questions, I will dedicate for the day. Chanju Sencho Rinpoche, Mage Panangyushe, Kewa Yama Mipayang, Gone Go to Power Show, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Mage Panangyushe, Kewa Yama Mipayang, Gone Go to Power Show, Daso Chene Sabagi Wadi, Tanandro Kunlan Kampana, Jebo Jozo, Lozon Drabo, Dumping Born to Sao Shesh. Kewa Gundo Yana Lamada, Jemmy Joki Palo Long Choche, Sada Longi, Antara Choni, Doji Changi Gopa Yudosho, Gewadi Yujuda, Lama Sange Jufuni, Chuachika Malupa, De Salagoba Shoji, Jabozonga, Jozo Nama Pewala, Geki Shamaji Wada, Tuni Malo Shanjo, Dada Shangi Dusunda, Jewish Latini, Yawa Lozon Drabai, Tampaniva, Guji, Nimodella Santale, Nemiko and Television, Yasanta to Delepel, Contrason Jigulo, Contrason Motoso, Contrason Tashi, Jazun Lama Kosoratachi, Namka Chilijuki Pada. Lozon W. Jomin Samsung, Jomuso Tatune, Gushi, Gandhi Rawi, Coalition Gamden, Pendant Dewa Malukyo, Chenrizik 1000 Gasoi, Sharpie City Badu Dan, Gushi, Hong Tobin Godru Malupa, Den the Dallas so Conan Temple Lotion, and Geba Sushi Shukten. Thank you, everybody, and have a good weekend.